We're getting into all this tonight, and we're going to have people who don't agree with me, which is always the best place to start, I think, with a debate. I'm joined by the Black Lives Matter activist, Iman Aiden, and the author and friend of Prince Harry, and former rugby international, James Haskell. Well, welcome to both of you. James, you've been sitting very patiently there, listening to me tear into your mate. Am I wrong?
I've never seen you in full flow, actually. It's quite terrifying. I was wondering what's going to happen if you got a bit shouty, and I was trying to think, am I articulate enough, am I intelligent enough to take Piers Morgan on?
Well, I have seen you in full flow on a rugby field, and you have another way of dealing with
That's
people
what I
you don't
thought.
like. So I think on this balance, I'll keep you distant.
I thought violence could be the answer. Click rate will go through the roof. Look, I think it's interesting because obviously you're very invested in the story. I think there's a lot of people...
Well, I'll tell you, before you go any further, I just want to say the reason I'm so personally invested, I think people know why, is because I queried a lot of these things at the time. And I, for example, when the Oprah exchange with Meghan Markle about racism was played, we'll play it now so you can remind yourselves, and I'll tell you what then happened. Let's watch this.
And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What? About how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Hold up.
There's
Stop
several
right now.
there's several conversations.
There's a
about
conversation with you
with Harry
about how dark your baby is going to be?
potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Ooh. And you're not going to tell me who had the conversation?
I think that would be very damaging to them.
Okay.
Compartmentalized
Because they were
conversations.
concerned that if you were too brown, that would be a problem. Are you saying that?
I wasn't able to follow up with why, but that if that's the assumption you're making, I think that feels like a pretty safe one.
Here's the thing, James. The morning after that aired, on Good Morning Britain, I came out fighting. And I said, look, I just don't believe that. I don't believe a senior member of the royal family would have expressed concern that if the baby's skin colour was too dark, that would be a problem. And I wanted to see the evidence. I also said that when she talked about having suicidal thoughts and then said she went to the palace, spoke to officials, and they said she couldn't get help for it, I said, I just can't believe that conversation has happened. I want to see the evidence. For 2 years, no evidence emerged. It's not in his book, either of those things. They don't appear in the book of his life. And now he just casually says, well, we never meant it to be racism. That was the evil British press. Now, look, I get why he hates the press. I get it. He thinks the press killed his mother. I think a drunk driver killed his mother. And I think that she was obsessively followed by the paparazzi, and too much so. And I've always said that. But ultimately, the inquest determined it was a drunk driver was the predominant cause of her death. But he hates the press because he believes that the press conspired to kill his mother. So I get why he feels the way he does. But that doesn't give him license to brand his family a bunch of racists. Allow 2 years of this kind of onslaught headline, so damaging to the royals' reputation. And you know, you do a podcast with Mike Tindall. You know how they all feel about this. And then to casually say, well, we didn't mean that.
Yeah, look, I think...
When I put it like that, does part of you think, even though you're a mate...
No, look, I think I'm always very objective about everything. Just as people I would expect my friends to be objective about me. I don't really get things right all the time. I saw the documentary and I've read only a little bit of the book because I only got it the other day. And I'm a slow reader, as you imagine, being a rugby player. And one of the things I've felt as a Z-list celebrity, right, is incomparable to someone like Harry. I understand how the media... aren't always held accountable. They can take things and put their interpretation on it. Yeah. Part of the stuff that he talked about in his book, because the manuscript was stolen, right, and a lot of this sensationalist stuff, because it was so out there, was taken out of context.
Yeah, but hang on, I've read it all.
Yes.
I literally spent 6 hours on Tuesday reading the whole thing, precisely so I could see things in context. The point about the Taliban revelation, for example, was twofold. One, the British Army guy, they just don't put a number on it in public. They might to each other.
No, I agree with that.
They don't do it in public. Yeah. You know that.
Yeah,
You've spoken to enough of them. Secondly, dehumanising the enemy to a bunch of chess pieces. That, again, is not something they do in public. They might in the bar, but they know that there is a certain code that comes with being a British Army either officer or one of the troops. And you don't cross that line.
I mean, I think. Look, you're looking at kind of with the intention with the particular details. When I'm talking more as an overarching view of saying when someone is in his position, more often than not, the belief from being part of the royal family was never complain, never explain, never comment about anything.
Right.
Firstly, we've got to break this idea that they're not just a normal family, because they absolutely are. Dysfunctional, normal family that everybody has.
Well, they're not a normal family.
Well, but no, but
because they live in palaces, they have loads of servants.
They do, but
and the British taxpayer pays for them. They don't pay for you and me.
No, but when they scrape that away, they are simply still humans. I know people think.
I know lots of them,
I'm
and
not religious, so I don't believe that people are ordained by God.
I agree, they're
humans,
human beings.
right?
Yes.
So if you take that to a point, and in his position, you very rarely get to tell your story without a journalist interviewing you. So you and I are on TV today, right? This could be edited up, and bits of it could be altered. Or if you were doing a written interview, your interpretation is written out, not what I actually said. So I feel that he has written this book as a way of going, look, regardless of what happened, this is what I feel. And I'm not saying whether it's true or not. I've got no comment. I don't really care, to be honest with you. But I'm saying he's put this out there to go, this is my version. I finally got an opportunity to speak. Now, whether he should have spoken, what he said was right or wrong, that's another story. I just feel that people in that position don't often get to tell their story, and I think he's done it in a way that most of his peers and most of his family have never had the opportunity to do. And I think, for me, that's important, because it cannot be misinterpreted or shouldn't be misinterpreted.
Let me tell you what would happen. If they all did what he's done, the monarchy would die.
I agree, and that's
the
not right,
mystique would go.
Agreed.
They would become a real-life soap opera. Right, it would be utterly catastrophic for the reputation of the royal family and the monarchy if all they did was throw mud at each other in public, and the monarchy would die. One of the last surviving monarchies as it is.
But I think, interestingly, in his particular situation with what happened to his mother, for example, right? And again, in your own words, you said, look, was she hounded to the nth degree? Yes.
Yeah.
And do you see what happens with the royal family, for example, that the zeitgeist of how popularity goes? 1 minute, one of them is the best thing since sliced bread. The next minute,
but that's why they have to play the long game. I mean, the Queen Mother was a great example. She never gave an interview, nor did her daughter, the Queen. She was absolutely of the mantra, never complain, never explain, because she just thought over time it all balances out. You get the great stuff. We've had the Jubilee celebrations.
But I think in the modern...
and you get the negative stuff.
But I think, sorry to interrupt you, but in the modern world, right, when she was reigning and when the Queen Mother was alive, you didn't have social media, you didn't have instant comments, you didn't have 24-hour news. That is a new feature, and the problem is...
I don't think it matters.
I think it does, because the way it spreads and the nature of things like trolling, you cannot get the truth out there. So, for example, I follow you on Twitter. I'm a big fan of what you do in lots of parts, but you're very defensive of yourself. So when someone questions you,
of course,
you will come out and tell the truth.
Yeah, but I'm a journalist. I'm not a member of the royal family.
No, but he is also a human that I think feels that he's put up with a lot of rubbish. So just as you would defend yourself, I would defend myself. The difference is what he does now actually has some weight. Because when, for example, if you wrote an article about me in the paper and it was wrong and I got an apology, it's page 37. If I did a video on social media after that, you made a front page article, maybe 20 people see it.
Yeah.
He has now put a flagpole or a mark in the ground to say, this is my truth, this is my story. Now, you can debate it to the nth degree whether that's factually correct, but I think that's just important for him.